Hello everyone, this is Rig and today we are going to start a new video series on the Mauryan Empire. Now before going into the details about the Mauryan Empire, it is important to go through the different kind of sources from where we get information about the empire and its rulers. So one such most important source is Arthasastra written by Kautilya. So without doing any delay, let's get into the details about Arthashastra. So Arthashastra by Kautilya is an extensive and detailed treatise on statecraft and economic policy. So this book contains details about statecraft and what kind of economic or financial policies should be followed by the state for its proper maintenance. References previous works on the subject demonstrating a sophisticated historical lineage. So this must be understood. Many historians or many people who are interested in history term Arthashastra to be the first work on economics. No, it was just a continuation of a lineage of historical works on economics. And in Arthashastra itself, different previous works have been referred to, thus demonstrating a sophisticated historical lineage. Arthashastra derived from the root artha, meaning well-being, is prioritized over dharma, that is spiritual well-being. So Arthashastra, unlike other spiritual texts, is very much different from its philosophical aspect, where the book focuses on material well-being to be the prime importance over spiritual well-being, which is unlike any other text of the contemporary period, where spiritual well-being is prioritized more than anything else. Defines artha as the essential means for sustenance and protection of the state. So according to Kautilya, according to Arthashastra, artha, which means the material well-being, is the ultimate means through which a state can function and protect itself from its enemies. Now this book consists of 15 chapters or 15 books which are called as Adhikarana, that covers various aspects of administration and interstate relations. So there are 15 books within Arthashastra. It is not a single book. 15 books covering various aspects of administration and interstate relations have been compiled together to form a book which gives importance to material well-being, and that book is Arthashastra by Kautilya. Now, how is the structure of the text? The text is divided into 15 books called Adhikarana, dealing with internal administration, which is Tantra, and external affairs. So this book has 15 chapters or 15 other books within itself, and those deals with administration, both internal and external. In internal administration, the term by which we understand internal administration is Tantra. Arthashastra ranges from administrative details to military strategy and economics. So a wide range of aspect has been covered in Arthashastra, from the military strategy to economics and administrative details also. The work also provides insights into the ancient Indian livelihood and economy. So from this text, we get an insight into how the ancient Indian society was functioning and what kind of economic policies were followed by the ancient people in the Indian subcontinent. The science of statecraft is explained in Arthashastra, is also known as Tantragya. So the science of statecraft, which means how a state should function, the strategies and administrative policies involved within it, had been explained in Arthashastra, and it is known as Tantragya. It is considered a fundamental guide for rulers and policymakers of the time. So Arthashastra served as a guide for rulers and policymakers of the time. Even now, for different kind of administrative problems, the historians refer to Arthashastra, and it sometimes provides a solution even now in the present context. So historical context and authorship. What was the historical context of the text and who was its author? Traditionally believed to be a 4th century BC text by Kautilya, also known as Chanakya or Vishnugupta, who was the advisor to first Mauryan Empire, Chandragupta. So Chandragupta was the first Mauryan Empire and Kautilya was the chief advisor to Chandragupta. He is also known by the name Chanakya or Vishnugupta, even though debatable, but it can be assumed that Kautilya, Chanakya and Vishnugupta were the same person, and traditionally it is believed that this text was written in 4th century BC. Kautilya is credited with overthrowing the Nanda dynasty and establishing the Mauryan Empire. So Dhanananda was the corrupted ruler of the Nanda dynasty, in whose time there was the Macedonian invasion, the invasion by Alexander. You must go through my video on the Macedonian invasion in order to understand what happened. But no doubt Nandas were a powerful dynasty and they ruled over a major portion of northern India with a very strong military. So Kautilya, even though he did not have the military power, with his diplomatic strategies overthrown the Nanda dynasty and established the Mauryan Empire with Chandragupta as the first emperor. Arthasastra specific references to Chandragupta support this traditional view. So specific references to Chandragupta have been mentioned in Arthasastra, and thus this traditional view of the king Dhanananda being overthrown and Chandragupta taking its place is being supported in the text of Arthasastra. Some scholars support the view based on internal evidence within the text. Even though it is not written, the instances of war between Dhanananda Chandragupta, the strategies formulated by Kautilya is not mentioned openly, it is not referred to directly, but some scholars support this view based on the internal evidence which is thought to be hidden in between the text in Arthashastra. However, debate exists with arguments of the text being a compilation over time with interpolations. So all the 15 chapters in Arthashastra, all the Adhikaranas may not have been written by Kautilya alone. Different scholars through a different period of time may have taken the philosophy of Kautilya, and the text was compiled over a period of time with many interpolations. So this is another theory regarding the authorship of Arthashastra, that the whole text may not have been written by Kautilya alone. Now, debates on chronology. There is a debate regarding the date in which this text was written. The text dating is contentious. Some suggest a later period, potentially even post Chandragupta. So no specific date or event is directly mentioned in the text, and that gives confusion, that raises many confusion thoughts, and so some historians even give the date of this text potentially to be post Chandragupta, means after Chandragupta's rule. References to Mauryas and Nandas within the text are points for chronological debates. So Mauryan rulers are also mentioned in the text and Nanda rulers are also mentioned in the text. So there is a chronological debate regarding in which period this text was originally written. Later interpolations and lack of consistent references to historical figures like Megasthenes add to the uncertainty. So later many parts of the text contradict the previous views written in previous chapters. Hence, there is assumption that later interpolations may have been made into the text, and there is lack of any consisting evidence about the proper figures of those period, like Megasthenes. Now Megasthenes was an important figure in Chandragupta Maurya's court. He was a Greek ambassador in the court of Chandragupta who was very influential, but he is not at all mentioned in Arthasastra, and that raises the confusion that whether it was composed totally on the time of Mauryan emperors or not. The text prescriptions on statecraft don't clearly indicate a single author from Mauryan period. So there are many contradictory views on statecraft written, and that indicates to the fact that there may have been more than a single author from the Maurya period, and this text may have been written for a long period of time by different authors, taking the basis from the philosophies of Kautilya. It remains a possibility that the work could have evolved over centuries with multiple contributors. So there is a quite extreme possibility that this work may not have been done by Kautilya alone, and throughout centuries multiple contributors were there to the text of Arthashastra. Interpolation and historical references. What are the interpolations within the text, and how are the historical events referred to in the text of Arthashastra? Some verses directly referencing Kautilya are considered by some as later interpolations. So there are some verses which refer to the works of Kautilya only. So it must have been later written by some other author where he is referencing the thoughts or philosophies of Kautilya. Therefore, there must have been some kind of later interpolations. The lack of reference to Kautilya in Patanjali's Mahabhashya adds to the debate on the authorship. So Mahabhashya by Patanjali is another important text quite on the Mauryan period itself, but it has the reference of Kautilya has not been found in Patanjali's Mahabhashya. Mahabhashya refers to many important figures, but Kautilya has not been mentioned there. Therefore, there is a debate on the authorship of Arthashastra. The mention of Mauryas in some sections of the text does not necessarily anchor it to that era. So Mauryans have been referred to in Arthashastra, but the Nanda rulers have also been referred in Arthashastra, and many other rulers have also been referred. Therefore, it cannot be said that some mention of the Mauryas in some sections prove that the text have been authored in Mauryan period. It cannot be definitely said like that. Megasthenes' Indica, which is fragmented, does not provide a definitive reference to validate the traditional dating. So Arthashastra, if it belonged to the Mauryan period, it was contemporary to Indica written by Megasthenes. Now these two texts may have referred each other, but Indica of Megasthenes do not find any references to Arthashastra within itself. Therefore, it cannot provide a definite dating to Arthashastra. Arthashastra's discussion on small states contradicts the theory of being a guide for large empires. So in Arthashastra, it has been written a lot about the strategies which the small states should formulate in order to run smoothly. But this contradicts with the view of the Mauryan state policy, where large empires are guided, where large emperors are guided through Arthashastra. So there is a contradiction to the administration of the state policies within Arthashastra itself. Therefore, there is a great uncertainty regarding the date of Arthashastra. Now, Kautilya's identity and historical impact. Who was Kautilya and what kind of impact did he have on the historical period of the time? The identity of Kautilya is very complex, with his name being associated with multiple identities: a scholar, a strategist, and possibly a kingmaker. So, his profession or his motive is not at all clear. The identity of Kautilya is very much complex, and in some chapters he is being referred as a scholar, in some chapters as a strategist, and possibly he was a kingmaker. He is recognized for his instrumental role in the rise of Mauryan Empire. So he is believed to be the supporting factor behind Chandragupta's rise to power, and he is the one who devised all kinds of diplomatic and administrative policies that made Chandragupta Maurya the first emperor of India. Arthasastra insights into the governance, espionage, and military strategy show a deep understanding of intricacies of power. No matter what date it belonged to, there is a debate. Who was the author? There is a debate. But the insights of Arthashastra into the governance, espionage, and military strategy no doubt show a deep understanding about the intricacies of power. Kautilya's treatise has been analyzed and praised for its pragmatic and detailed approach to ruling a state. So this is a very much detailed text where all aspect of statecraft and all the policies which should be maintained while ruling a state has been discussed. So it has been praised repeatedly by historians for its pragmatic and detailed approach. His work remains influential, cited by historians and politicians alike for its depth and comprehensiveness. Even today, Arthashastra is one of the most important texts on politics and economy in the whole of Indian subcontinent. Influence in political theory and governance. So what kind of influence did Arthashastra have in the political theories of the time, and how did it help in the smooth running of governance? Arthashastra offers a glimpse into early political theories and practices in India. So even though the date is debatable, but if we assume it to be a text from the Mauryan period, we can get a glimpse into early political theories and practices in India. The treatise addresses various aspects of governance, from urban management to international diplomacy. So how to manage the cities, the local administration have also been discussed in Arthashastra, and the discussion on administration ranges as far as international diplomacy. What kind of international relations should a ruler maintain for its protection and smooth running inside the state? Kautilya's work predates and possibly influences classical Western texts like Machiavelli's The Prince. So Kautilya is often cited as the Machiavelli of India, but no, Kautilya came much before Machiavelli, and possibly in those times it had influenced several Western texts also, and one such text which have been influenced by Kautilya may have been the text of Machiavelli's, that is The Prince. The text is used as a historical source to understand the political and economic conditions of ancient India. So this text no doubt gives us authority into the history of ancient India, and it acts as a historical source to understand the political and economic conditions of ancient India. It remains a critical source for reconstructing the political ethos of early Indian civilization. So this is one of the main texts from which we can reconstruct the political ethos of ancient India. Now, Kautilya's relevance to modern governance. How is the text of Arthashastra relevant in the present context? Arthashastra's principles on leadership, economic management, and espionage are still relevant. In espionage, the Arthashastra provides details about a spy network the state should maintain in order to get information regarding any danger of within the state. So this espionage strategies and how to motivate the spies to keep doing their works, all this have been given in Arthashastra, and it is quite relevant even today. Offers timeless wisdom on resource management and duties of a ruler. What are the duties of a ruler? What kind of policies, what kind of humility he should have while ruling a state has been mentioned in Arthashastra, and these are timeless wisdom applicable for all generations, for all periods of time. And we also get an insights on how to manage the resources that can be acquired from the state. The text approach to welfare economics and public administration has parallels in modern economic theories. Arthashastra is even taught in many classes of economics even today, because the approach to welfare economics and public administration has very much connection with modern economic theories. Arthashastra's methods of statecraft, including aspects of welfare, justice, and education, provide insights for contemporary policy making. So, the Arthashastra's methodology of running a state in the form of statecraft, welfare, justice are still cited to form contemporary policies in the modern context. Kautilya is often compared to modern day economists and political advisors for his foresightedness. Now, Kautilya was a far-sighted man. He could see the future, and all his policies that he advised regarding the state was not limited to Mauryan or any other period only. It can be applicable even today, and thus the wisdom from Arthashastra is actually timeless and quite suited for the modern approach of running a state. Now, scholarly interpretations and discussions. What are the scholarly interpretations regarding this ancient text of Arthashastra? The Arthashastra's authorship has spurred debate among scholars like Kangle, who points out the lack of direct references to Kautilya in contemporary text. So, authors like and scholars like Kangle points out the fact that there is a debate regarding the authorship of Arthashastra, who actually wrote it, how much of it was written by Kautilya alone and how much were later interpolations, because Kangle pointed out that there is a lack of direct references to Kautilya in the contemporary text of the period. Historians such as Romila Thapar suggest the text could be a compilation across a period longer than a single reign. So this text may not have been created during the reign of a particular king or a particular dynasty. It may have been a compilation of different kind of interpretations or theories across centuries, as suggested by Romila Thapar. The detailed and prescriptive nature of the text implies a larger, well-established polity, potentially indicative of an empire rather than a small state. So, the details and nature of the text may be suited to an empire rather than a small state. The inclusion of specific details such as espionage and duties of the officials provide a vivid picture of the administrative mechanisms of the time. So in this text, different kind of officers are mentioned along with the duties they should perform, and even punishments have been mentioned in case they fail at their duties. So such details about different officials provide an insight into the administrative mechanisms of the time. Interpretations of Arthashastra's normative aspect contribute significantly to understanding of ancient Indian polities. Now, what is the legacy of the text Arthashastra? Arthashastra remains a seminal work in understanding the ancient Indian statecraft and economic policy. So, this remains as one of the main seminal work in understanding how the Indian society and state used to function before the modern interpretations took place. Despite debates, it is likely that the text reflects a unified political theory of its period, even if composed over time. So there have been many debates regarding what the text reflects to, but it can be no doubt it can be said that unified political theory was advocated in Arthashastra. Its comprehensive nature makes it an invaluable source for historical and political studies. So the comprehensive nature of Arthashastra, the different kind of aspects of a state covered in the text, makes it a very valuable source for understanding the historical and politics of ancient India. The treatise emphasis on practical governance offers a historical parallel to modern administrative practices. Kautilya's Arthasastra continues to be revered for its intricate detailing of governance, economics, and diplomacy, transcending time and culture. So that was all about Arthashastra. Hope you have liked it. In this video, we have discussed the different kinds of debates and confusions regarding the motive of the text and authorship of the text. There has been different debates regarding the date of the text also. So we have discussed them, and also along with that, we have discussed why is Arthashastra important and how is it still relevant in the modern context. So that was our first video on the Mauryan Empire. In our next video, we are going to discuss further more about different other sources, and along with that, we are going to dive deep into the political administration and different rulers of the Mauryan Empire. So thank you so much for your love and support, and with your help, I hope to bring brighter contents in future. Thank you so much.